My name's Sarah Darwin, and I've been working on a citizen science project about the nightingale, a little bird, in Berlin for the last couple of years at the Naturkunde Museum Berlin. So every spring, the Berlin sky is filled with the song of nightingales. We have around 3,000 in the city itself and surrounding area every year. So the Nightingale Research Project was born. It's called Forschungsfall Nachtigall, and it's based at the Museum für Naturkunde Berlin. We have three goals, one scientific goals, cultural goals, and community building goals. So I'll start with the scientific goals. The idea was to collect nightingale songs in order to create a song catalogue and to look and see whether nightingales have regional dialects. So we used an app called Naturblick, which was developed at the Museum for Naturkunde. And we went through a lot of press and a lot of events to get lots of publicity. And we over 2 years, we managed to ask our citizen scientists to record nightingales, and they recorded over 7,000 actual nightingales using the app, up to 2 minutes per recording. Now, the algorithm of the app gives you a percentage likelihood that what you're actually recording is a nightingale. And then these recordings were manually checked, each and every one. And then they were put onto an interactive map, which is online, and I can give anybody the website address to have a look at that if they like. So in 2018, 75% of the recordings that were submitted were real nightingales, and in 2019, 90% of the nightingale recordings were real nightingales. We have a PhD student who's working on making a catalogue. So nightingales have this incredibly complex song, which I'm sure many of you are aware of, and they have so they sing for a very short period, around 1 to 2 seconds, and then they have a little pause. And these individual sort of sections of song are called song types. And some of these song types are very common, so you hear them in nightingales from all over the world, and some of them are a little bit more rare. So she started off by making a catalogue, and I think she's got over 2,000 different nightingale song types so far. So it's quite an intense piece of work. So the second part of the project is sort of linked really with the community building. We had we hosted lots of cultural events. So poetry, science, music, and visual arts, we combined them. And we managed to find some quite new and diverse audiences. You may or may not know that the nightingales are found in the ancient Persian region, so Syria and Iran. And we have had a group of new Berliners or refugees who have been part of our project, because the nightingale is an incredibly important symbol. So we've been collecting stories that people have about nightingales. So these can be very simple little sort of statements, like there's a nightingale singing on the lilac tree in my garden, or they can be quite in-depth stories about how people feel about the nightingale, the emotions that come up when they listen to the nightingale, or nostalgic sort of memories of family trips and experiences that they've had. And I guess one take-home message for me, looking at these stories that people share, is that there are sometimes scientific parts in the stories. But what I think is really important is to realize that people know nature in many different ways. And as a scientist, I know nature in one way, in a scientific way, but the general public can also know nature in different ways. So some of these stories may not have actually even been about nightingales themselves, but it's what they mean to people that was sort of important. I think that's sort of it. So really looking at the science, we're looking at different song types, and looking at regional dialects, and the culture. We're collecting stories that people share with a view to compare sort of with the poets and the great writers, to see what symbols modern people sort of collect about nightingales. And we've collected around 300 stories. So thank you.